Welcome to another Southern California Prep Insider podcast. Tommy Morris and Shotgun Spratling here, ready to break down the top 10 in the Southern section, tell you who played well last week, and give some game predictions. Shotgun, hat of the week, what are we working with?
I mean, you got to rep a little Memphis Tigers action. Usually I go with the team that struggles, but you give a lot of credit to Memphis with UCLA coming to town. They were able to, put up a ton of points on a depleted defense and get a big win for that program. And I don't know, how'd you feel about those Memphis, those blue and white tiger stripe helmets with the blue and white tiger stripes on the shoulder pads too?
I could have done without the stripes on the shoulder pads. You got to pick one or the other. I like the shoulder pad look a little bit better. The helmet, too, it was just a little much. It all kind of blended into one giant line configuration to me. But they celebrated like they just won the Super Bowl, so good for those kids. Probably one of the biggest wins in school history. Yeah? Did you say?
Pretty good. I mean, of recent history, yes.
All right, Shotgun. Top 10s. Who do you got?
We'll start with number 10, moving San Clemente into the top 10. They come off a big win over Murrieta Valley, 62-27. That is a rematch.
Stupid.
Rematch of the CIF championship, and you expected a close game actually in that one, but they kind of pulled away and took care of that one. Brendan Costello, 14 of 17, 212 yards in the air, 4 TDs passing, another 106 yards rushing and a TD. And Austin Whitsett added, 19 carries and 152 yards and a couple touchdowns. So just dominant performance by San Clemente. They've really been improving each week. So we're moving them in top 10. So that means somebody's got to drop out. That's going to be our number 2 team from last week, Long Beach Poly, dropping them all the way out. They can work their way back in, but just was not very impressed with their performance against Mission Viejo. Mission Viejo, a very good defense. We'll get to them later. They'll definitely be in our top 5. But Matt Corral struggled. He tried to do a little bit too much. He threw 4 interceptions in that one. So Long Beach Poly falling out this week. We'll see how they bounce back next week. I got number 9. I got Orange Lutheran. They beat Norco 41-28. Ryan Helinski, another 421 yards and 3 TDs. However, their opponents, haven't really won much this season. So, they got to beat somebody that's won a couple of games before we're going to give them too much credit. Chaminade stays at number 8. They beat Bakersfield 43-14. Upland moves up to 7. They beat Redlands East Valley 47-26. Jay Sarah at number 6. They're 4-0. They beat Vista Murrieta 26-9. I think they're still averaging, over 45 points a game. So that offense, even though it wasn't high-powered this game, the defense stepped up and only allowed 9 points. Rancho Cucamonga, they beat Bishop Amat 31-7. We got them at number 5. Number 4, Centennial, just beat up on Narbonne 52-6. Their offense, everyone seemed to score in that game.
Surprising, too.
Yeah, city section, one of the top teams in the city section, they just kind of destroyed them in that game. Kind of showed how powerful the southern section is in that one. Bosco, they also beat up on a city team, beat up Dorsey 69-14. They got back Sal Spina from a knee injury, big defensive tackle, big player in the middle of the line for him. He had a tackle for loss on his first play. He had a sack on his 4th play. I think he's going to be a big addition, especially when they get into that, those Trinity League matchups, and that one we're still keeping an eye on. Looking forward to that modern day matchup eventually. Number 2, I got Mission Viejo. They jump up to number 2 after the win over Long Beach Poly. Just defense all around, and Ryan Kennedy sealed the game with the team's 4th interception with 90 seconds left, I think, in the game. Not too much offense. They had one call back, and then one touchdown call back, and then they missed a field goal, a chip shot. So would have had a chance to take a lead earlier in the game, but instead, they had a big pick 6 that we'll talk about in a little bit. But number 1 still, modern day, they beat up on Bergen Catholic, a team from New Jersey, is usually a powerhouse. Just destroyed them 62-14. JT Daniels 300 yards, 5 TDs. Defense did it with a couple of big turnovers and set up some easy short fields for them. And they got a guy named Amon Ra back, and he had a pretty big game too. We'll talk about him in some of the top players, standout players.
All right, here we go. I'll let you get to it right now. The standout players from last week. I know you mentioned some of them, but who are the rest of them?
Yeah, we'll start with Amon Ra St. Brown. I mean, first game back, he's had a ligament injury in his hand, one of his fingers, I believe. And he finally gets back on the field, and you see that offense, what it can do. He had 9 catches, 147 yards, 3 TDs, and he only played the first half. So, pretty good debut performance there for him. Mace Funa as well from Mater Dei. He had a 20-yard pick six. He also had a strip sack and 3 tackles for loss in that one. Some other guys that stood out. Casey Carr, the third at Tustin, 40 carries, 358 yards, 5 TDs. He's got 17 TDs on the season. He's played 4 games. He's just,
40 carries. How many carries did he get in a game? Jeez.
Yeah, he's been getting at least 30 carries a game. They're really riding him, but he's a true workhorse back there. Big win for Tustin, 35-24 with Tribeca Hills. Cooper Jones, El Toro, 23 of 40, 352 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 34-29 win over Tesoro. A little bit of an upset there for some people. JP Andrade from Bonita threw for 418 yards, 5 TDs, even though his team did lose 39-35 to Buena. Jamison Wang for Harvard Westlake didn't throw as much as some of these other guys, only 11 of 12, very efficient, 311 yards and 4 TDs, and he also ran for 166 yards and some TDs there. So a big game for Jamison Wang. Rob Farney, another guy from San Clemente that had a big game, 3 sacks and an INT. Marquis Spiker in that loss to San Clemente, 7 catches, 167 yards and 3 TDs. Chad Magar from Santa Ana Margarita had 214 yards and 2 TDs. Malcolm Wesley, Santa Ana Valley, 43 carries. Not just 40 carries, 43 carries, 401 yards, 4 TDs. Somebody get that man an ice bath and a massage on Saturday.
And some popsicles maybe, and I don't know, what some orange slices at halftime or something like that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. You got to have the orange slices. The team mom down there with some Capri Suns. Too bad that was a 29-25 loss to Northwood in that one, unfortunately for Mr. Wesley, but big night for him. TJ McMahon from Servite, 3 TDs passing, 2 TDs rushing. Angel Lopez from Segerstrom, 224 yards rushing in a TD. Jonathan Jefferson, the quarterback from Citrus Hill, I think he ran 38 times or 32 times. Especially for a quarterback, that's a ton of runs. 275 yards and 3 TDs. Jamal McGlory for Riverside Arlington, he had 263 yards and 4 TDs in a 42-21 win over Riverside Ramona. Sherrod Wright from Heritage, who we'll be talking about a little bit later. They're playing a big game this weekend. 236 yards rushing, 3 TDs, and TD runs of 71 yards, 67 yards, and 20 yards. Miles Herrera, Redlands East Valley in that game, 22 of 33, 370 yards, 4 TDs in the loss. Giovanni Sanders, Murrieta Mesa, 5 catches, 164 yards, 3 TDs, 39-yarder, a 44-yarder, and a 58-yarder in a big win there. And then the game I was at, Mission Viejo, Long Beach Poly, the big play of the game, Elijah Griffin, a pick 6 for the UCLA commit and the son of Warren G. Him playing against Long Beach Poly, his dad from Long Beach, that's a big win and a big bragging rights game there for Elijah Griffin with a big play.
And we'll see Elijah on the next episode of Southern California Prep Insider. Great segue, Shotgun. That's why you're the best in business.
I do what I can.
Do what you can. Next, we'll go to our game picks. Again, these will all be featured on the Fox Sports Go app. Make sure to check that thing out, except for the one that will be on TV. We'll get to that at the end. Yeah, Shotgun, take a gulp there. You did a lot of work there. You all right?
A lot of standout players this week.
Maybe give you some orange slices here.
I got to get that Capri Sun. It's all about the Capri Sun.
There you go, the Capri Sun. First game we're going to talk about, it's Heritage going to Orange Lutheran for Heritage. Running back Sherrod White, the reigning Sunbelt League Utility Player of the Year, committed to Montana State. Also watch out for James Phillips. He's a wide receiver / cornerback, but they like to use him on the ground. They'll give him the ball in the end arounds. Orange Lutheran, as you already talked about them earlier, coming off their win against Norco. I like Orange Lutheran in this one. What do you think, Shotgun?
Because Orange Lutheran just hasn't beaten anybody yet, this is a big test for them because Heritage coming in 4-0, a team that's on the radar for my top 10. They had allowed 17 points their first 3 games. They did give up 29 this past week, but it was a blowout. I'm going to take Riverside Heritage. I'm going to see. I think they can pull up an upset right here. Even though Orange Lutheran is my number 9 team, I got Riverside Heritage getting a win.
Ooh, Riverside Heritage on the road. Shotgun calling for the upset. Next game. It is Oaks Christian at Marietta.
And it's always tough. It's always tough because you're playing those Trinity League teams who have combined 1 loss this season. Orange Lutheran, Riverside Heritage is going to try to make it 2 this week.
All right. Oaks Christian at Marietta Valley. Zach Carbonet for Oaks Christian has rushed for over 100 yards in all 4 of OC's games with 6 touchdowns. Marietta Valley coming off that tough loss, as you already mentioned, to San Clemente. I think they bounce back. I'm going to take Marietta Valley. I still have faith in them. What do you think, Shotgun?
This is a very interesting matchup to me. Oaks Christian has two really good edge rushers in Bo Calvert and Kayvon Thibodeau against a very high-powered passing attack with Hank Bachmeier and Marquise Spiker. I think Oaks Christian's been playing a lot better since that opening week loss to Chaminade. I think they kind of figured out the quarterback spot a little bit, and Charbonnet has been really good. He's a tough runner, a thick back. I think Oaks Christian can go on the road and get a win here.
All right, so we differ on that one too. Hey, we disagreed both times. It's kind of fun. Next, we've got Loyola going to Notre Dame to Sherman Oaks. For Notre Dame, Noah Taylor and Christian Grubb both have over 400 yards rushing already with 6 touchdowns and 4 touchdowns respectively. The team has 19 total rushing touchdowns in just 4 games, and they're averaging 340 yards on the ground. I like those odds. I like rushing teams. Let's see if they can attack the ground game. I will take Notre Dame, Sherman Oaks.
Loyola is usually a strong city section team. They produce a number of great players, but like you, I think I'm going to take Notre Dame in this one.
All right, moving on, our last internet game. It's Moore Park at Westlake. For Westlake, Jake Kaplinski averaging 300 passing yards per game with 15 touchdown passes so far in his first 4 games this season. I like Westlake.
I think I'm going to agree with you. I don't like to agree with you normally, but I'm going to agree with you this one. I'm going to take Westlake as well.
And the big one, it's a TV game. It'll be on at 8:30. It's delayed this week, so you can watch every game now. And when you get home from your game, you can go ahead and check this one out. It is Mission Viejo going to Santa Margarita. I like the Diablos on the road. I saw them play against La Habra. Impressive win again last week. I think they keep it rolling. Mission Viejo over Santa Margarita.
They've got some defenders on that Mission Viejo team, starting with Elijah Griffin. But I'm going to go with Santa Margarita. That offense has been averaging 50 points a game. They've outscored opponents 201 to 10. 201 to 10. They're giving up 2.5 points a game compared to scoring 50 points a game. I'm going to go with the Trinity League in this one. Like I said, I think there's a second loss in the Trinity League, but I don't think it's Santa Margarita. I think it's Orange Lutheran.
There we go. So those are our picks for this week. This is probably the most we've ever differed in the short history of this podcast.
Well, that just means I'm going to be right a lot more this week. That just means you're wrong a little bit more this week.
All right, that'll do it for this week's podcast. Shotgun, anything you got to say before we get out of here?
One game that I did want to mention, El Dorado blocking the PAT to reserve a 14-13 win after giving up an 80-yard touchdown pass before that. So good credit to them. The guys didn't get 2 down. There's only a little bit like a minute left. We just gave up the tie-in touchdown. No, somebody breaks through the line, knocks that PAT down. That's what you like to see, a little perseverance.
The shades of John Carney and the Saints. What was that, like 15 years ago?
I don't want to talk about that. I was against my Falcons.
Hey, you missed it anyway. That'll do it for this podcast. For Shotgun Sprouting, I'm Tommy Morris. We'll see you next week.